There is a strange and terrible enemy that haunts every man and woman who has ever dreamed a great dream. It is not failure. It is not poverty. It is not rejection or fear or even opposition. No, the true enemy is far more cunning. It dresses in the disguise of comfort, whispers in the language of excuses, and strikes in the silence between two decisions. Its name is inconsistency, and unless you master it, it will rob you of every ounce of potential you possess. Let me ask you, how many times have you made a promise to yourself that this time would be different? That you would rise early, work harder, speak better, read more, move faster, train longer, or love deeper? And yet somehow, somewhere along the path, you broke that silent contract. Not because you lacked knowledge, not because you lacked opportunity, but because you lacked the force to stay the course. You see, the greatest minds who ever walked this earth were not always the most talented or even the most intelligent, but they were always the most consistent. Now hear me, for this is a truth as old as ambition itself. Success is not earned in bursts of brilliance, but in the dull, disciplined repetition of right action. It is forged not in one mighty leap, but in 1,000 tiny steps taken without applause. And when your feelings betray you, and they will betray you, it is your commitment, not your emotion, that must command your motion. I have studied the lives of great men, Carnegie, Edison, Ford, Rockefeller, and in every one of them I discovered a blazing hunger to command themselves. That, my friends, is the only real power. Not to command others, not to dominate business or industry, but to dominate your own inertia, your own procrastination, your own excuses. Every act of consistency is a declaration of war against the part of you that wants to remain average. Every time you rise when you feel like resting, you drive a nail into the coffin of mediocrity. Do not wait for motivation. That is the language of the weak. Motivation comes and goes like the tide, but discipline, that iron will to act regardless of feeling, is the true engine of success. You must learn to act, not when it is easy, but especially when it is hard. You must condition your mind like a soldier to obey your vision even when your heart is tired and your flesh is weak. That is what separates the man who hopes from the man who becomes. You will be tempted to delay. You will be tempted to reason with your weakness. But understand this. Your future is being negotiated with every delay you tolerate. When you skip one day, you are not simply losing 24 hours. You are casting a vote against your future self. And when you push through, when you rise once more and take action in spite of weariness, you are casting a vote for the man or woman you intend to become. If you desire consistency, you must stop asking for ease and start demanding control. Control over your mornings, control over your time, control over your thoughts. For if you cannot control yourself, life will not trust you with the fruits of success. The universe does not reward the one who starts fast. It rewards the one who finishes, and finishing requires persistence in the shadows, when no one is watching, and your reward is only the quiet knowledge that you kept your word to yourself. In every moment of indecision, there is a door. One path leads to comfort now and regret later. The other leads to discomfort now and mastery later. Which door you choose again and again, that is the measure of your life. Make no mistake, the future you desire is waiting for you, but it will not come down to meet you. You must rise to meet it. And you rise through repetition. You rise through resolve. You rise through consistency even when your bones ache and your dreams feel distant. So when the hour comes, and it will, when you feel the pull of ease, when your mind begins to bargain and your spirit begins to wander, remember this. Consistency is not a gift from the gods, it is a muscle. It is built in silence, in sweat, in solitude. And the moment you master it, the gates of greatness will swing wide open, not because you knocked once, but because you refuse to stop knocking. While the world is busy praising the loud, the flashy, and the overnight success stories, the real foundation of all greatness lies in something much quieter, almost invisible. Consistency. It doesn't shout, it doesn't dazzle, and it doesn't look impressive to the untrained eye, but it works. It builds, it compounds, and over time it erects monuments of success where others saw only empty fields. Consistency is the force that turns ordinary men into legends. It is the reason the inventor makes the breakthrough, the entrepreneur breaks the mold, and the dreamer becomes a doer. The world has been fooled into believing that success is a matter of one lucky strike or one brilliant moment, but behind every such moment is a lifetime of unseen repetition, a private history of unwavering persistence. A man can possess genius, but without consistency, his genius becomes scattered, wasted like light through broken glass. A woman can hold a bold vision in her heart, but without consistency, that vision fades and eventually becomes regret. Consistency is the glue that holds ambition together. Without it, desire evaporates, goals remain goals, and the path to achievement crumbles beneath the weight of excuses and forgetfulness. True greatness is not birthed in rare sparks of passion. It is forged in the fire of routine action, in the discipline of showing up when no one is watching, and in the habit of refusing to break promises made to oneself. Study the lives of any successful individual, and you will find consistency at the root of their rise. The poet who writes a verse every morning before dawn, the athlete who trains through injury and pain, the business titan who keeps showing up when the company is bleeding money and the market is cold. These people are not special in the way the world thinks. They are not always the most talented or the most gifted, but they are consistent. And because of that, they endure when others quit. They build when others drift. They create when others delay. Consistency is the compound interest of effort. It may not seem like much in the beginning, but over time, it becomes unstoppable. It is a universal law that the man who moves one step every day toward his goal, even if the step is small and unremarkable, will eventually arrive at a place most men never reach. Why? Because most men take one giant leap in enthusiasm and then stop. They wait for the next wave of emotion to carry them forward, never realizing that emotion is fleeting, but discipline is dependable. Consistency does not ask how you feel. It does not care if you are tired. It does not excuse your bad day. It demands that you honor your commitment, that you follow through, that you do what you said you would do long after the excitement has died. The temptation to seek variety, to switch directions, or to chase a new path is always strongest when progress feels slow. But that is precisely the moment when consistency matters most. It is in those silent, thankless hours when your actions seem to produce no fruit that you are building the roots of something mighty. The man who keeps writing, the woman who keeps grinding, the student who keeps studying when everyone else is distracted, these are the people who eventually rise. Because the world is not changed by those who start. It is changed by those who stay. You must understand that consistency is not natural. The human brain craves novelty. It prefers comfort, spontaneity, and the illusion of freedom. But real freedom is found in self-mastery. And self-mastery is born from repetition. Each day you stay committed to your path. You rewire your brain to become a little stronger, a little more focused, a little more resilient. You become the kind of person who can be trusted with bigger dreams, heavier responsibilities, and greater impact. The universe opens doors not to the most ambitious, but to the most consistent. To force yourself to be consistent, you must learn to fall in love with the process, not the results. Results are the byproduct. The process is the path. If you only act when the rewards are immediate, you will remain at the mercy of your moods. But if you can train your mind to enjoy the grind, to respect the repetition, and to find satisfaction in the doing, then you will become a machine of momentum. You will no longer need external validation to keep moving forward. You will be powered by something far stronger, your own integrity. Consistency is a choice you make every day, sometimes every hour. It is not made once in the heat of inspiration and then forgotten. It must be renewed constantly through action, through commitment, through the quiet declaration that today, no matter what, I will do what I said I would do. Even if it's boring, even if it's hard, even if no one sees it, because I see it. And I understand that every small, repeated action is a brick in the foundation of the future I am building. There comes a time in every person's journey when the fire of motivation flickers and fades. It may have started as a blazing inferno, sparked by a new goal, a bold vision, or an inspiring idea. But as the days pass and the grind sets in, that fire begins to dim. The energy that once pushed you out of bed in the early hours now whispers for 5 more minutes. The passion that once pulled you through obstacles now waits for the perfect conditions to return. And this is where most people fall. Not because they lack vision, not because they lack talent, but because they waited for a feeling that no longer came. They trusted motivation to carry them to the finish line, not realizing that motivation was never meant to lead, discipline was. Motivation is emotional. It is volatile, unpredictable, and fleeting. It is like the wind, one moment strong, the next moment still. If you build your life on motivation, you will move only when the wind blows in your favor. But if you build your life on discipline, you will move even when the wind howls against you. Discipline is the inner voice that says do it anyway. It is the decision to act, not because you feel like it, but because it must be done. It is the refusal to give your feelings the steering wheel of your life. It is the mastery of self. A man disciplined is a man dangerous to defeat. For he does not rely on the rush of adrenaline, the applause of others, or the novelty of a fresh start. He moves forward on command, his own command. He has trained himself to be the general of his own army, to wake when he is tired, to work when he is uninspired, to fight when there is no crowd cheering. That kind of man is unstoppable, because the world cannot distract him, pain cannot derail him, and boredom cannot detour him. He is powered by something deeper than excitement. He is powered by will. There is a reason discipline is rare, it is hard. It demands that you act in defiance of your comfort. It requires you to put down the phone when your flesh craves distraction, to rise from the couch when your mind begs for rest, to say no to the temporary thrill in service of the permanent reward. Discipline forces you to become your own authority. And most people would rather be ruled by laziness than rule over themselves. But the truth is, nothing worthwhile can be achieved without it. Every empire was built by discipline. Every great body, every masterful skill, every brilliant invention, every fortune earned. None of it came from motivation alone. It came from daily effort, from systems that replaced moods, from habits that were carved into the brain like grooves in stone. The champions of life are not those who get excited the most often. They are the ones who do the work longest. If you want to become that kind of person, you must begin by changing your language. Stop asking, do I feel like it? Start saying, is it time? Stop waiting for inspiration to strike. Decide that you are already committed, and your actions are no longer up for negotiation. This is how discipline is born. Not in the big moments, but in the daily negotiations you shut down. Every time you rise instead of rest, act instead of delay, persist instead of fold, you reinforce your identity as someone who does what must be done. You stop becoming a slave to your circumstances and become a creator of your future. Your mind will resist. It will say, just one day off. It will say, you've earned a break. It will say, do it later. But you must speak back. You must say, this is who I am now. I don't wait. I don't hesitate. I move, because discipline is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it grows. And the stronger it grows, the less you depend on emotion to take action. Soon you no longer need to feel ready. You are ready, not because of how you feel, but because of who you've become. You will discover that discipline is the true freedom. It is the discipline that guards your purpose when motivation is asleep. It is the armor that shields your vision when fear begins to scream. You must wear that armor every day, not just when you feel strong, but especially when you feel weak. There is no crowd in this war. No one cheering when you do the right thing over and over again. That is why so few fight it. That is why so few ever rise above average. They think the absence of applause means the effort isn't worth it. But those who understand the real nature of this war know that the greatest victories are invisible. They happen in the morning when you don't hit snooze. They happen at night when you finish the work instead of quitting early. They happen when you continue forward quietly, steadily, without recognition, knowing that you are becoming someone powerful, someone rare. What makes this fight so difficult is not just the repetition, but the loneliness. While others take shortcuts, you will walk the long path. While others seek entertainment, you will be training. While others quit at the first discomfort, you will endure. And while they wonder why their life never changes, you will be too busy building yours to hear their complaints. This is not a journey for the easily distracted. This is for the one who knows that every act of discipline is a spiritual strike against everything that wants to keep them average. Each time you take action, not because it's convenient, but because it's required, you are reinforcing the foundation of your future. Each time you push through resistance, you are proving to yourself that you are no longer under the control of old patterns. Consistency is not glamorous, it is not loud, it is not celebrated, but it is the battlefield where destiny is decided. If you can learn to embrace it, to fight through the repetition, the boredom, the fatigue, then you will begin to experience something extraordinary. Not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. You have become someone who shows up, someone who finishes, someone who fights. And in a world full of people who quit, that makes you powerful beyond measure. Every decision you make, no matter how small it may seem in the moment, is a vote cast toward the person you are becoming. The world is shaped not by one grand decision, but by the daily accumulation of micro-decisions that either reinforce strength or feed weakness. When you choose to stay consistent, even in the smallest of actions, you are not merely performing a task, you are shaping your future, carving it out stroke by stroke, choice by choice. Consistency is not simply about productivity, it is about identity. Every time you show up when it would have been easier not to, you're telling your mind, your body, your spirit, this is who I am. I am someone who follows through. I am someone who does not abandon the work, the mission, the vision. This truth is what separates dreamers from doers. Dreamers are always waiting for the right time, the right mood, the right level of inspiration. But the doers, the ones who change their lives and through their lives change the world, they understand the power of the mundane. They understand that brushing your teeth is not about dental health. It's about casting a vote for being a disciplined person. They understand that lacing up your shoes and going for the run, even when your legs ache, is not just about fitness. It's about affirming your commitment. They understand that choosing to write one page, read one chapter, wake up 1 hour earlier is not about checking off a task. It is about building a new version of themselves with every repetition. What's dangerous is not failure. What's dangerous is the illusion that small choices don't matter. That skipping one day of action won't make a difference. That putting off a task until tomorrow is harmless. But what is forgotten is that every one of those choices is also a vote. Skipping your routine is a vote for your past self. Procrastinating is a vote for staying stuck. Letting your emotions decide your actions is a vote for inconsistency. It is not about guilt or punishment. It is about reality. Your identity is not what you say it is. It is what you do over and over again. And so the question must be asked, who are you voting for with your daily behavior? This is not a matter of perfection. It is a matter of direction. You don't have to do everything perfectly, but you must show up consistently enough that the identity you are building becomes too strong to break, because eventually the momentum builds. 1 vote becomes 5, 5 becomes 50. And before long, your self-image changes. No longer are you the person who wants to be fit or successful or disciplined. You are the person who is, because you've built it brick by brick, silently, steadily, through actions repeated when no one was watching and when every part of you wanted to stop. The greatest transformations are not sudden, they are gradual, like the growth of a tree or the rise of a tide. They do not announce themselves with fireworks. They are quiet, persistent, and cumulative, and they begin with a single action repeated. The tragedy is that most people abandon their consistency before the tipping point. They stop casting votes too early. They expect instant returns and miss the beauty of compound effort. They do not realize that each time they choose discipline over comfort, each time they act despite resistance, they are depositing into an account that will one day yield results beyond imagination. You do not need to conquer the entire mountain in one day. You need only to keep walking, one step, then another. And each step is a message to your future self. I'm coming. I haven't forgotten. I won't quit. And when others look back years later and wonder how you built such a strong life, such an unshakable character, you'll know it was never one giant leap. It was 1,000 tiny votes cast in silence, stacked one on top of the other until they became a fortress. There will be days when the vote feels pointless, when your effort seems to yield no reward, when the scale doesn't move, the bank account doesn't grow, the skills don't sharpen fast enough, and it is in those moments that most people stop. But those are the very moments where consistency is proving its worth, because it teaches you to act without needing proof. To trust the process before the harvest. To build even when the results haven't yet arrived. This is how the foundation becomes unshakable, not through results, but through repetition in the absence of results. Every time you choose to be consistent, you are doing more than you realize. You are voting for a future that only exists because of your faith in it. You are writing a story in the background while the world is busy chasing noise. You are investing in something deeper than goals. You are investing in character. And character once built will take you places goals never could. Because when you become the kind of person who always shows up, who always finishes, who keeps their word to themselves, there is nothing the world can throw at you that you cannot endure. Most people wait. They wait for the perfect moment, for the right motivation, for a sign, a breakthrough, a push from the outside. But the truth is, the greatest transformation begins not in waiting, but in deciding. The people who change their lives are not the ones who feel ready. They are the ones who act consistently until readiness catches up. And to do that, they understand a vital truth. Consistency is not a talent you are born with. It is a muscle you build. It is not a gift that falls from the sky. It is a habit carved into your identity through repetition and resolve. You don't become consistent by wishing for it. You become consistent by training for it. Just like a muscle, consistency grows through resistance. It doesn't grow when things are easy. It grows when you do the thing anyway. When you show up to the gym even though you're tired. When you sit down to write even though your mind is blank. When you speak the truth even when your voice shakes. That is resistance, and it is the very thing that forges consistency. The pain you feel when you push through excuses, that is the tear in the muscle. And the growth happens not in that moment, but in the recovery that follows. The confidence that says, I did it anyway. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to realize you can rely on your own effort. That trust is everything. When you build that muscle, something remarkable happens. You begin to detach your actions from your moods. You stop relying on feelings to dictate your day. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions. You stop treating your emotions like commands. You simply act. You act because it's who you are now. You don't debate whether to keep going. You don't ask yourself if you feel like it. You don't seek validation for your effort. You move forward because that's what you do. That's who you've become. A person of momentum. A person of movement. A person of force. Building the consistency muscle means you must embrace monotony. It means doing the same things over and over again, even when they lose their shine. It means trading excitement for excellence, flash for focus, praise for persistence. While others chase new distractions and burn out chasing variety, you commit to mastery through repetition. You fall in love with the rhythm, with the grind, with the craft itself. You begin to see that greatness is not a one-time act. It is a series of ordinary acts, done extraordinarily well day after day, and yet the world won't applaud your consistency in the beginning. It won't celebrate your discipline when the results aren't visible. People won't notice your silent victories, but that's what makes them powerful. Because in that silence, when no one's watching, when no one is validating your effort, you're building something unshakable. You're becoming someone who doesn't crumble under pressure. Someone who doesn't break in the dark. Someone who is trained in the quiet so well that when the world finally looks your way, you're already ready. That's when the results begin to show. That's when the breakthrough happens. But it only happens for the few who didn't stop when it was hard, when it was boring, when it felt like nothing was working. Consistency is what separates the dreamer from the achiever, the beginner from the finisher, the follower from the leader. And building that muscle is how you rise from average to exceptional. If you want to live a life that others only dream of, you must develop habits that others avoid. You must keep showing up long after the novelty has faded, long after the crowd has gone home, long after your initial spark is burned out. That is how you train consistency. That is how you become indestructible. Not by being the best in the room, but by being the last one standing in it. So if you're wondering how to force yourself to be consistent, stop looking outward. The answer isn't in a new book, a new hack, or a new routine. It's already within you. It's in the decision to do the hard thing one more time. It's in the choice to keep moving forward even without results. It's in the moment you stop hoping for easy and start preparing for great. Because greatness isn't given, it's earned. And it's earned through consistency. The day you realize consistency is your greatest superpower is the day you stop chasing intensity and start building identity. And when that identity is rooted in discipline, in repetition, in the unshakable decision to keep going, you become unstoppable. You don't need more time. You don't need more chances. You need only to choose to act again. Today, tomorrow, the next day. That's how you build the muscle. That's how you force yourself to be consistent. And that in the end is how you win.